Well, the West is a very interesting animal. You know, between the beaches and the mountains, there can be some huge variations in the weather pattern within just a few miles. The West is full of what we call microclimates, and these are small areas that can experience vastly different weather versus their not-so-distant neighbors. So San Francisco is the epitome of a microclimate. You get the cool, moist air from the Pacific to push on shore. That can create a veil of fog oftentimes. And even on a summer day, that fog can keep the temperatures in the 60s. But all you have to go is drive inland about 10 to 15 miles, and you can be in bright sunshine and temperatures in the 80s and 90s versus those 60s along the coast. So that contrast can be quite remarkable. Well, mountains really do interesting things to the weather. The West is no stranger to what we call orographic lifting, and this is when an air mass hits the mountains and is forced to lift due to the terrain. And as the air lifts, it cools, it condenses, and this is what forms clouds and even precipitation. What's interesting is what happens when the air goes over the mountaintop. So this can actually result in the exact opposite. As the air descends down the mountain, it dries out, and this phenomenon is known as the rain shadow effect. And in most dramatic instances, this creates deserts such as Death Valley. And Colorado is another great example of the rain shadow effect. Areas west of the divide can see as much as 40 inches of precipitation throughout the year, while areas east of the divide, like Denver and Pueblo, only see about 12 to 19 inches. So that's a pretty big difference. The terrain in the West is probably the biggest cause for wildfires because it can create the perfect setup for explosive fires. Evergreens are the prominent vegetation on the mountains, and when the dry season hits during the summer months, each year this happens, and the heat really takes a toll on the terrain. The foliage can become extremely dry and hence very flammable. And lightning is the #1 cause of wildfires. And dry thunderstorms are common in the West during the summer months. You see a lack of moisture as that moist air mass builds along the mountains and kind of dries it out, but the lightning is still there. And these dry thunderstorms are one of the top causes for the wildfires in the West. Overall, the West is a meteorological playground.